بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يتقبل منا. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم.
آمين.
اللهم ما أصبحنا به من نعمة أو بأحد من خلقك فمنك وحدك لا شريك لك فلك الحمد ولك الشكر. نسأل الله أن يجمعنا على طاعته دائما ويجمعنا مع أهلنا في جنات النعيم على سرر متقابلين. اللهم آمين.
آمين.
The Sheikh recited for us in the first rak'ah Sorat AlKahf and the ayah كلا إذا بلغت التراقي وقيل من راق. Now here's the quiz. What is taraqi? You can raise your hand, it's fine. Yes. الرقبة. طيب. That's not accurate.
تراقي
ليست فقرات الرقبة. Yes. What is that? The artery in the neck. That's not accurate. Yes.
ناضج
What?
ناضج
ماضي.
Knowledge? What is that?
نضج يعني
mature.
What is knowledge?
ناضج.
نضج
Nadaja.
Ah.
I don't know what that nadaja means, honestly. Yes. The ruqya. وقيل من راق. راق is ربما الرقية.
خدناها في المدارس الترقوة. في الترقوة.
الترقوة.
What is the tarqwa? You're very close. What is tarqwa?
ترقوة is the point.
ترقوة.
This is فقرات الظهر. This is the C-spine. So taraqi is a plural of turqwa, and turqwa is the bone between the sternum, عظم القرص, and the shoulder, and it has the S shape in English, right? And how many? So both of us, all of us have two. So you have two turqwas, and that is taraqi. And the ayah refers to what? To the soul. When the soul reach the taraqi, that means what? That means the dying moment, right? The dawn, right? So when that time is up, al-ajal, when it comes, that's it. If it reached that level, that's it, right? حتى إذا بلغت الحلقوم وأنتم حينئذ تنظر is the same. وقيل من راق, it's a challenge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we say, who can cure this? No one on the face of earth will cure this. Why? Because it is the ajal, the appointed term. When the ajal comes, لا يستأخرون ساعة
لا يستخدمون.
ولا يستقدمون. So inshallah, I wanted to stop on this, the meaning of this. This is not my topic today, inshallah. Barakallah fikum, jazakumullah. So the turqwa is those two bones, right? Taraq. So this is turqwa in Arabic, يعني the color bone in English. This land, yeah, inshallah. طيب, barakallah fikum. My talk with you today, it's about, in the Quran we have, if somebody wanted to take the Quran, the whole Quran, and categorize the topics in the Quran, you would find the topics three. One category talk about Tawheed, Aqidah. Okay? And the other one, legislation, or Tashri'ah, Ahkam. And the third one is about Qasas Qur'ani, the stories of the Quran. Now if you take the Qasas Qur'ani and you want to dissect it further, you will see it's also divided into three parts, categories. One is Qasas al-Anbiya. We all are familiar with this. There's so many surahs that talk about the prophets, right? A second section is qasas related to the seerah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you see the stories, the seerah, and you see the match in the Quran. I'll give you an example. If I wanted to ask you, what is the surah talk that talks about details in the battle of Uhud? Anybody knows the answer? Surah Al-Imran. So if I wanted to talk about the battle of Badr, this in the seerah in the Quran, Surah Al-Anfal, right? If I want to talk about the battle of the Khandaq, Surah Al-Ahzab. If I want to talk about, there's so many related. That's why in order to understand the Quran, you should really know the seerah, and in order to understand the seerah, you should know the Quran. It's always connected there, right? And the third part is his stories that is not related to the Anbiya, stories of nation or people, and so on, like the story in Surah Al-Qasas about Qarun, or the Surah Al-Kahf, the people of the cave. Right? So those are the Qasas Quran. Now, if I come to you and I say I'm going to tell you a story, the first thing that's going to come to your mind is this real or fiction, right? I mean, that's what we deal with, right? I'm going to tell you a story. Is that really happening? Is that real? If I'm going to tell you this is a story from the Quran, you know for sure it is real, right? إن هذا لهو القصص الحق نحن نقص عليك نبأهم بالحق. So this is an absolute. Why? Because the narrator is who? Is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us something, you take it to the bank. It's an absolute. There's no question. La rayba fi, right? The other question, the other thing, when I tell you a story, it may be a lousy story. But when I tell you a qasas from the Quran, you should know, نحن نقص عليك أحسن القصص. You will never find better stories than the stories in the Quran. Halal. So you see now, I wanted to take you to the ayat, and I wanted to take you, what is it that we benefit from the Quran? So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell me a story, it's not for amusement. It is so we can think. Huh?
عبرة.
Think. فَقُصُصِ الْقَصَصَ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. And after we think and understand, then we have the lesson, the عبرة. لَقَدْ كَانَ فِي قَصَصِهِمْ عبرة. There's a lesson. But عبرة to whom? لأولي الألباب. So that means you and I have to be among أولي الألباب to understand and to learn the lesson. أولي الألباب. That means what? That means أولي العقول. Lib is al-aql, right? That means people who think. That means when I recite the Quran, I have to think about what I'm reciting. Let me repeat that. I have to think, and wallahi, I'm not repeating that to you, I'm repeating that to myself. Is how many times you and I recite the Quran, and sometimes the mind is absent, right? Sometimes you recite, wallahi, I recite sometimes 3-4 pages, and I can't even remember what I recited. Does this happen to any of us?
Of course.
All of us. So that means what? That means when you and I recite, we have to focus. We have to think. Wallahi, every ayah that pass, and we don't think about it, it's a big loss. It's a big loss. Why? Because this Quran, as you know, and we have mentioned that in the past, is, many of us think of it as a kitabu tilawa. Kitabu tilawa. It's just a recitation. The book of Allah is not only kitabu tilawa, it's kitabu hidayah. It's kitabu hidayah. There's guidance in this book. Wallahi, there is nothing in your life and my life except that you will find it in this Quran. And those are not my words. Those are the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, وَلَقَدْ صَرَّفْنَا فِي هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ مِنْ كُلِّ مَثَلٍ. Right? Everything that you would think of, you will face in your life, you face in your life, I faced in my life, it's in this book. So in this book, there is a guidance, there's a manual for you and me. And among those things, the Qasas Quran. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the Qasas because many times it sticks in our mind more. When you have a life example in front of you, we learn more. Sometimes you want to teach your kids something, you tell them a story so they can learn the purpose and so on. So that means this Quran is for tafakkur and tadabbur, and after that, learning lessons, learning durus, ibar. So now I want to take you and take examples of that, and let's do some application. Yes.
What is tafakkur and what is tadabbur?
Yes. Tafakkur, it means to understand the meaning. It's like tafsir. You read the words and you understand the meaning, you make tafakkur. But it goes a little bit deeper than that. You understand the meaning deeply. But then tadabbur, what is those ayat leads to? What is those ayat leads to? That is tadabbur. That is fahmul maqsad, understanding the goal. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making you, is telling you and me this ayah. It's got to be a reason for it. Right? Just take a simple example. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu taqullaha wa kunu ma'a as-sadiqin. Right? So recitation when I recite it. Tafakkur when I understand it. All who you believe, right? Fear Allah, have taqwa, and be among the truthful. Now I understood the words. That's the tafsir, that's the tafakkur, right? But then where's the tadabbur? The tadabbur is, Allah wants me to be among the truthful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to me. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu. He's directing this to you and to me. You remember when you want to speak to Allah, you make dua and you make salah. But if you want Allah to talk to you, you recite the Quran. So Allah is talking to me and telling me to be among the truthful. Now it comes to action. So now I put the book of Allah and I left home and I'm dealing with people. How am I going to deal with people? If I'm going to lie, I'm going to cheat. What did this ayah do to me? Nothing. So this ayah has to change you, has to guide me and guide you to be truthful. That's where the tadabbur, and that's where we lead with that. So I want to take you now to Sorat AlKahf. Sorat AlKahf, right? Sorat AlKahf, if I ask any of you, any of us, we know that we, alhamdulillah, we recite this surah every Friday, that's the sunnah, right? And if I wanted to give a topic, a theme to this surah, who can give me like a unwan? What is the theme of this surah? You throw. What is it? You recited this surah, alhamdulillah, yesterday. It was just fresh, right? You recited yesterday, right? And you closed the book of Allah. And now I'm going to ask you, what do you think of this surah? Give me, what is this surah talking about? Anyone? Go ahead. Yes. It tells me 4 stories, yes? Huh? Wahdaniyat Allah, Tawheed, yes. Barakallah fiqh. I mean, you explain everything, but I wanted one address.
Tafakkur.
Tafakkur.
Tafakkur by 3 guys.
MashaAllah, yes.
الصبر
Huh?
الصبر.
الصبر. Yes. Okay, I want you to remember this. Yes.
قدرة الله سبحانه وتعالى يعني بالنسبة لأصحاب الكهف يعني.
ما شاء الله. بارك الله فيك. So I'm gonna, alhamdulillah, I mean, this is, I wanted to think about it in an academic way, in didactic way, right? I want to teach a class. I wanted to bring this and put it in organized knowledge, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I want to give an address to this surah, as the scholars told us, this surah talk about usul al-fitan. Usul al-fitan. There is talk about testing in life. Testing in life. 4 stories. And those 4 stories are all about testing in life. But not just any test. It's categories of testing. In other words, if you walk through life, you will be tested, and your test is among those categories. Number 1, fitna fiddin, the people of the cave, right? Testing in their faith. صاحب الجنتين, testing fitnatul mal, right? Testing in the wealth. Musa and the Khadr, testing fitnatul ilm, testing in knowledge. Dhul Qarnayn, fitnat as-sultan, the authority, right? So let's take the first one, fitnatul deen. When you say La ilaha illallah, you may face challenges. You may face Islamophobes. You may face people mocking at you. You may face people want to kill you because of La ilaha illallah. Right? That's what this surah talk about, usul al-fitan. And it's not only talking about this, like the problem, the testing, but it also gives you the solutions. Gives you what to do, how to face it. So those youngsters, they faced a challenge. قالوا ربنا الله. What happened? They faced the king. And the king gave them a choice. Do or die. Do leave your deed or that's it, right? That's what the Quran is telling me. So now they're faced with musibah. That is a challenging their faith. What did they do? That's for you and me to learn. What did they do? They held strong. They stayed firm. They held on to their deen. So the lesson that I learned from this, I want to hold on my deen no matter what. Even if I face death. Now let's take this to the real life. You might think, oh, nobody is facing that. Well, it's all over. Look at China, right? La ilaha illallah, they killed them, right? Rohingya, not too far. Even in India now, right? It may not go that far for killing, but it may go to harassment. Does any of us Muslims here face harassments in this country? We do, right? But how do we deal with it? If a sister wearing a hijab, how does she deal with it? Some of them take the hijab off. Some of them change their name. Some of them hide their identity. Does that happen? Did you see that? We do. It shouldn't be that way. Never. Always be proud of your faith. Always be strong. This is how to hold on to your deen. That's what this surah is telling me. How can you be steadfast? How can you be strong? How many of us, wallahi, I said that myself. When I first came to this country, I used to be shy praying outside. You know, you hide yourself. Why? Your iman has to be strong. And this is how this surah is telling me. Even if you face death, hold on to your deen. How can you be strong and holding on to your deen? What is it that you should do to be really that strong and your iman that's strong, what is it that you should do? First and foremost, seek help. Are you going to tell me, what am I going to get help from? Call the police or something? No. Seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. First and foremost, seek help. How do I learn that? Those youngsters, they said that. قالوا ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا. Right? And the first thing they said, they faced death, they said, oh Allah, help us. That's what you and I would do. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا. The Quran is filled with those ayat that tells you and me ask for help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You recite al-Fatiha, and the first dua that you do in the whole Quran, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم, right? Allah guide us to the straight path. The Prophet ﷺ, the first, and not the first, the most uttered dua, among the most uttered dua, يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلبي على دينك. So the first, you ask Allah's help. And two, make sure that iman is strong. And it has to be strong. Why? Because you believe is strong. You believe should have no doubt. That is the yaqeen. Yaqeen in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Quran helps you. Go back to the Quran, because the Quran is a yaqeen itself. And it's the highest level of yaqeen. وَإِنَّهُ لَحَقُّ الْيَقِينِ, right? ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ, right? So you know, with the strength of the faith, you hold steadfast. You hold firm. That's what I learned from Sorat AlKahf. As we all should learn from Sorat AlKahf. Right? And if you continue with the Qasas Qur'ani, it's all over. Continue Sorat AlKahf, Sahib al-Jannatayn, Fitnatul Mal. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests you. And wait a second, how come Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests me, giving me wealth? Yes, you know and I know that Allah tests with good and bad, right? وَبْلَنَاهُمْ بِالْحَسَنَاتِ وَالسَّيِّئَاتِ, right? وَنَبْلُوكُمْ بِالشَّرِّ وَالْخَيْرِ فِتْنَةً, right? It's all there. So when Allah gives you the wealth, what do? You know, there's an ayah in this Sahib al-Jannatayn. SubhanAllah, if you just look at it, and I wanted to focus on it for a minute. وَدَخَلَ جَنَّتَهُ وَهُوَ ظَالِمٌ لِنَفْسِهِ قَالَ. What did he call? What did he say?
ما أظن أن تبيد
ما أظن أن تبيد هذه أبدا. I want you to underline this. Make it a punchline. ما أظن أن تبيد هذه أبدا. This is like saying in Arabic, قمة الغرور, right? It's just, I wanted to take this to the realities that we live. Sometimes you do a project, right? You do business. You build a building. You did something and you say, I did my best. I studied all aspects of failure and I made sure nothing will go wrong, right? How many times you said, nothing will go wrong, right? Guarantee, nothing will go wrong. ما أظن أن تبيد هذه أبدا. Subhanallah. It's like you're in charge. Well, guess what? No, you and I are not in charge. His friend told him, what? Say what? MashaAllah. Right? You only did this because Allah has wanted you to have this. Right? It's like MashaAllahu can, وَمَا شَاءَ وَمَا لَمْ يَشَأْ لَمْ يَكُنْ. Right? So that means whatever we do, always remember that Allah is in charge. It doesn't mean like you go, yes, you do your best, and you make sure to do things flawless, right? Then always remember Allah, because Allah has given you this bounty to do this. If Allah did not want this to happen to you, it would never happen. So always say, MashaAllah, to give the blessing, and to remember to attribute this to Allah. You know, the Sahib al-Jannatayn, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَحَفَفْنَاهُمَا بِنَهْرٍ Allah is telling us that this is what I did for this guy. And this guy comes and says, me, right? أنا أكثر منك مالا وأعز نفرا أنا يا إنما أوتيت على علم العلم. That's the qasas Qur'ani, it tells us. So we have to reflect about those qasas and be careful. No matter how strong you are, how big you are, how smart you are, how shrewd you are, it's all ability from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and attribute everything you have to Allah, because وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. The moment you think it's yours, the punishment is coming. And the punishment is what? وَأُحِيطَ بِالثَّمَرِ. The punishment is what? وَخَسَفْنَا بِهِ وَبِدَارِهِ الْأَرْضِ. Right? The punishment is destruction. Encompass the gardens. Swallow, the earth would swallow. وَخَسَفْنَا بِهِ وَبِدَارِهِ. Him and everything. Subhanallah. So be careful. Because to preserve the bounty, that's what you have to do. And the third one is fitnatul ilm. You know the Musa and the Khadr, right? When Musa gave the khutbah, you know the story, the hadith is in some hadith in Bukhari. The point of the hadith is that don't think that you know everything. Always remember there's somebody who knows more, and that leads to Allah. Allahu A'lam. Allah is the one that knows the best, right? So always remember that. The most knowledge you have, the more knowledge you have, the more that we should be humble to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is a tawadu. A tawadu. So when we have degrees, when you have education, when you have whatever you have, always be humble to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what the surah teaches me. That's what all the story, there's more into it, but I'm just giving you ru'usu aqlam. It's like, like head, just like a few pointers. And the last one is Dhul Qarnayn. Dhul Qarnayn, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him وَأَتَيْنَاهُ مِنْ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ. Allah gave him the authority, gave him the ability to be a leader, and gave him all the support. So when Allah gives you sultan, gives you authority, gives you nufuz, what do? What is that learning from Dhul Qarnayn? Is to be just, adil. To be adil, right? To be a just person. Because, and sometimes you look at, well, I'm not a king. No, this applies to everything. You don't have to be a king like Dhul Qarnayn. You don't have to be a prince. But you can be somebody in charge. You can own a place that people work for you. You can be a CEO. You can be a boss anywhere. You can have somebody come and work for you. So you are in a place of authority. Be just to them. Treat them well.
At home, maybe.
Treat them kind.
At home.
At home. So this is what this surah tells me. So when you have all these categories and you have those, remember this surah that you recite every Friday that gives you and me guidance to everything in life. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us benefit from the Quran and from the teaching of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I'm going to stop right here inshallah and see if you have any questions.
The first question is, we should tell Dr. Sam Billawi that he should come every Saturday.
Inshallah.
I'm sure he does, but
No exceptions.
he has his reasons.
Wallahi, the only time that I'm not here, I'm out of town. But as long as I'm here, inshallah,
Yeah,
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala يجمعنا على طاعته دائما.
تقبل الله منك يا أخي.
الله يبارك فيكم. سبحانك اللهم ربنا وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وصلى الله على نبينا
And also we
محمد
make
وعلى
sure-
آله وصحبه أجمعين. بارك الله فيكم. جزاكم الله خيرا.